The following is a special presentation of Tony Kurre Radio.
Welcome back, folks, to a Keefer and Kurre on sports. He is Kip Keefer. I am Tony Kurre. You can also see these beautiful faces on ABC 3340s. The starting lineup brought to you by the Birmingham Racecourse Casino. Yeah, you're looking good, my man.
Oh, thank you very much.
For people that have seen Kip Keefer on television over the last decade, you need to, if you have not seen him lately, he is half the man he used to be, but he's twice the man he used to be. Just check him out on ABC 3340. It's great.
Man, I hope they're not disappointed when they tune in.
They're gonna like it. I'm trying to look as good as you are. What are you talking about?
I'm working on it.
So I wanted to get into college football and pro football. And the reason I bring that is we are now inside 100 days till the National Football League kicks off. It was 100 days yesterday. We're recording the show here on June 2nd. We are 86 days away from college football. Woo! If you say that we're starting on August 27th, we were like, it changes. August 27th is the day we will have football on television. It's not going to be all D1 television games. It's not going to be Auburn, Alabama games, but it will be college football on that Thursday. And then, of course, on the 29th, we're going to have some of the bigger games, including North Carolina, TCU, and Dublin. We're going to have San Jose State and USC. We'll have NC State and Virginia and Brazil. We'll have some funky games. So that's 86 days away. So we got that to get into, and we could do like 4 hours on that, no doubt. Not have to repeat ourselves. I know.
Oh, yeah, because what a week we've got coming up, Tony. We've got incredible. The NBA Finals, the NHL Finals. I got my Golden Knights material right here. I'm pumped up. The Golden Knights are in the finals. We've got some other big events coming as well with the College World Series starting a weekend after next. That's heating up. Some massive upsets yesterday in the College World Series. Some of the top-ranked teams in the country going down at home in their regionals.
Big time.
We've also got the upcoming U.S. Golf Open at Shinnecock, which is always a big deal. So, man, the summer is boiling over. And we've got the World Cup. I'm so pumped. Well, actually, I'm not, but we can talk about that, too, if you want.
Hey, we were watching. I get so confused because my son was watching some soccer match the other day. They went into penalty kicks. They had played an hour and 20 minutes. They did extra time. And I said, what is this? And he said, outside the World Cup, this is the biggest soccer game in the world. And of course, afterwards, they torched the town. I don't know, like 78 people got arrested.
PSG against somebody in the whatever.
Yeah, and I don't even know. I don't even know what that is.
And we've been talking about that as it relates to college football with these conferences threatening to break away. In England, they've got, I don't know, or Europe throughout, they've got 5 or 6 major leagues. So there's a championship game like every weekend. It's like boxing used to be with the WBA and the, all the different sanctions.
The welterweight. Yeah, I'm confused. All right. So we got the Stanley Cup going on tonight. We got the NBA playoffs, which to me is one of the greatest things on television every year anyway. It is one of the longest postseasons of anything. And I love the fact I love playoffs just go on forever and ever. But the Wembanyama and the
young
New York
Spurs, taking down the champs in Oklahoma City, that was epic.
I mean, and a 22-year-old putting on his back, that kid is really special to see what he did after the game.
How much did he wear out poor Chet Holmgren? Chet Holmgren needed a transfusion after the game and only scored like 4 points. Wembanyama just took him to the cleaners.
Kid did not look like he belonged in the National Basketball Association. I mean, he didn't. He always looks kind of goofy, and he's really lanky and kind of skinny, and he's got that goofy hair. But you're talking about an all-star.
That kid wore him out.
He wore his ass out. And then, of course, you've got the New York Knicks on the other side who haven't been to a finals in forever. And everyone says the world ain't right until the Knicks win a championship, and this will be their first time to give them the chance in nearly 3 decades. So there's a lot going on. So I'm going to open it up to you. This is us on sports. It's like we're doing a morning show. If we had a 4-hour show, we could go all day long.
Oh, there's no question
on everything. But I did want to go through the Alabama and Auburn football schedules.
Do it.
I want to start right there just because I wanted you to give me a win-loss. If you pull up right now on AI, top storylines in college football, it will scroll. Even AI is freaking
It's overwhelmed. Yeah.
We are, of course, at the 12-team thing, probably 24 next season. We have the Indiana Hoosiers, who have won 16 games in a row. They're going to have Michigan, Ohio State back-to-back this year. Doubt that winning season is going to continue, but 16 games in a row is pretty impressive. We got Lane Kiffin going to LSU. We got Archie Manning coming back, and I don't think anyone in a million years thought last year at this time that we'd be talking about Archie Manning again. And of
can
course,
he bounce back this year? Not that he's the greatest thing since sliced bread.
He may be the first guy in a long time, Kip, that's actually been a Heisman Trophy hopeful, like him and everyone else, 2 years straight, 2 years in a row, because, I mean, everyone's loving him again this year for obvious reasons. He's got the pedigree. Lincoln Riley at USC, I read an interesting story yesterday. He is going all Dabo Swinney on us. He's like, screw the money. I am going to build a championship here at USC. I'm going to do it with great recruits. If they don't want to play for us and don't want to make the money, screw them. But I'm going to build a great football team because they want to be a Trojan. Will it work? We'll find out. Of course, you know, Clemson went 7-6 last season. And then, of course, the reemergence of this thing called the Pac-12, which a lot of people don't realize now is Texas Tech, Utah State, San Diego State, Fresno State, Colorado State, Washington State, Oregon State, and also Gonzaga. Of course, they don't have a football team, but they do have a basketball team. So lots going on in the Pac-12. But I wanted to go through the Alabama schedule and the Auburn schedule, and I want you to give me a win-loss because I love this, and you're pretty good at this. Both teams, of course, playing 9 conference games, including each other at the end of the season.
And another Power 4 opponent, which the other conferences do not do. So the SEC has buckled on every point, and that's very distressing if you're a Southeastern Conference fan. Indeed. Because we're just everybody's bitch right now.
Where you're exactly right. And
all these plans, Tony, for revenue sharing and all that stuff, they're like poison pills for the SEC, because the SEC is on top of the mountain on the economic side, and all these level the playing field initiatives are destructive. They're just ballistic missiles aimed right at the SEC.
Did you just say that we are the bitch? Did you just say that?
I just said the SEC is everybody else's bitch.
Did you ever think in a million years? I mean, I like Greg Sankey. I know Greg Sankey. I was a huge Mike Slive guy.
Yeah, I think he's great. But
I think Petiti is putting him down. I mean, somehow, some way, and I don't know if it's because they're alumni associations, but the Big Ten is making the SEC look like we don't know where to turn right now. And I think that's why Kirby's come out and said, listen, you know, we saw the legend this past weekend talk about taking my ball and going home. I don't think they want to do that, but I mean, if that's what has to be done. But yeah, right now we're buckling on everything, including, of course, no more cupcake games, which I like cupcake games. I can afford cupcake games.
Well, you get a couple of them early in the season, but a maximum of 2. The one at the end of the year is gone now.
Yeah. All right, let's rip through it. Let's do Auburn first. Give me win-losses here. Baylor at Auburn. That's, of course, in Atlanta.
What an interesting game, because they moved it from a home game at Auburn to Atlanta for the Chick-fil-A thing. They show me the money. That's the slogan these days. And those folks showed Auburn the money. That game on a neutral field, they're playing against DJ Lagway, who this time last year, we were talking about it being a Heisman Trophy candidate.
Yep.
Now he's not even at Florida anymore. They basically said, pack up and get out of here. We're going to go a different direction. So DJ Lagway, scary to me on a neutral field. I think Auburn wins, but I think this is going to be a game goes right down to the wire.
A Southern Miss at Auburn, no problem.
Yep.
The Florida Gators at Auburn.
Yeah. Now, how interesting is that to be the opening in the SEC? John Sumrall, all the offseason last year, was rumored to be coming to Auburn. He takes a 90-degree turn and ends up in Florida when Lane Kiffin can't come to terms, and Auburn's back into the search mode. They come up with Alex Golish from South Florida. And remember, Tony, this is against the Gators. Alex Golish took his team into Gainesville last year, and his quarterback that's now at Auburn, Byron Brown, and 12 other kids who transferred from South Florida, and they beat the Gators last year, and now they're playing them again. It's just a fascinating game with storylines. I think Auburn beats them again.
You think Auburn beats them again? Then you have Vanderbilt visiting Auburn.
Yeah, I think Vanderbilt's going to take a big step back. I think this is 4-0 for Auburn starting out.
That is going to be huge. And of course, we've gone down this road before. Every year it seems like we're starting Auburn 4-1.
But now it gets tough.
Now it does get tough because they go on the road for the first time all season. It's on October 3rd. They don't leave the state. Well, they do.
They go to Atlanta.
They go to Atlanta, but that doesn't count. Then they got back-to-backers. Auburn visiting Neyland Stadium in Tennessee on October 3rd. What you got? A big L?
Yeah, I don't think Tennessee's going to be as good, but first road game at Neyland, that's a big, big chore. I think Tennessee wins.
Let's go to Gaines, or actually, we went to Gainesville. Let's do Georgia between the hedges the next week. We're going to Georgia.
Yeah, I don't see them matching up with the Dogs in Athens. So now they're 4-2.
Then you can make an argument this will be the game of the year for a lot of teams because a lot of people don't like Lane Kiffin. But Lane Kiffin visits Auburn with his LSU Bayou Bengal Tigers. What do you think about that game?
Yeah, I wish I had more of a feeling. LSU has loaded up, of course. They've spent a gazillion dollars, but Sam Leavitt, who they're counting on to be their quarterback, is still hurt. Here we are in June. It's getting a little bit, I don't know that nobody discloses any details on injuries, but if Leavitt's not 100%, they might be going with an inexperienced quarterback. They do have some other choices, but nothing like Leavitt. They've got the backup from USC. You were talking about Lincoln Riley before. He might be thrust into action. He's not really played very much. So I really don't know my take on LSU, but based on just personnel, I think they probably beat Auburn in Jordan-Hare.
Okay, let's go Auburn at Ole Miss.
Yeah, that's another loser. I don't think Ole Miss is going to be as good as they've been the last couple of years. I think Pete Golding's the village idiot. He's already in trouble for tampering and everything else. Tony, the best descriptive of him is when Dabo got furious that he was calling one of his recruits in class, which is just a 5-star NCAA violation. Yeah. You can't do that.
In class.
In class. His first day at Clemson. He gets a call from Pete Golding himself, not an agent, not a third party. Anyway, Dabo told his guys, his enforcement guys, look, Pete's new to being a head coach. He probably, let's just call and see if we can work this out with Ole Miss before we rat on them to the NCAA. They call the general manager of Ole Miss, who's supposed to be overseeing the whole program. And before the guy even gets into the conversation, he goes, okay, listen, I'm not going to get involved in this. I don't even want to hear about it. That's just Pete Golding being Pete Golding.
Yeah.
And basically, Tony, between the lines, what that says is I'm not going to advocate anything he's done because he's a loose cannon and just a wild card here. And he's going to be making those kind of mistakes because that's just the personality he has. The reason that he's gotten good jobs in the past as defensive coordinators for Saban and others, because the guy is just a voracious recruiter.
Yeah.
But if you're that way, you're basically a used car salesman. You'll take any tactic necessary. So when you're a head coach, that really doesn't fit the profile. You've got to be conforming to the rules. I think Ole Miss is going to take a step back, but I don't see Auburn going to Oxford and beating them either. That'd be 4 losses in a row.
That would be a 4-4 start for the Auburn Tigers, and you're probably talking about firing the head coach in his first season.
And kind of similar to last year. Remember, they went on that tough road swing, and they lost both games, and they could never get it back.
Yep. Then Arkansas comes calling down there at Auburn.
Yeah, they should handle the Hogs. I really don't see much to be optimistic about in Fayetteville. New coach Ryan Silverfield, who is coming in from Memphis. And the main reason he's got the job is because he beat Arkansas last year and started them on their real tailspin. Big upset last year. Also, Arkansas tried to get a bunch of the other more high-profile coaches. I think this is going to be a tough year in Fayetteville.
That may be game of the year for the Auburn Tigers, only because if they don't win that game, they're probably not bowling. I mean, they got Sanford the following week, and I get that they got to go Mississippi State. You like them winning in Starkville?
I think they can probably beat Mississippi. I think Mississippi State will be improved, but they've got a young kind of raw quarterback, and his development is going to be key to them being competitive. So, yeah, I'll give Auburn that win.
So you got Sanford the following week. So that puts them at 7-4 going into the Iron Bowl, which, of course, is at Bryant-Denny.
And they're not going to
win. They should go bowling. They shouldn't have a problem. But again, when you're going back and saying, listen, we had to beat Sanford in order to get that 7th win, but I think that Arkansas game could be one of those tipping games because you've won 4.
I think you're right.
If it plays out that way, that could be one of those games where we're going to.
So we've got them 7-5, I guess.
So 7-5, yeah.
Which would be their first winning season in like 5 years.
It really will be. And I can't believe I'm saying this. I think Auburn Tiger fans would like that. I think they're okay with that for the first year.
You got to take a step forward. And again, and I think this is an ancient formula that we can't get over. You got to give a coach a couple of years to bring in his own guys. Well, this guy's already bringing in his own guys. He's bringing 13 players with him from South Florida. So I think anything less than 7-5 will be unacceptable to Auburn Nation. 7-5 will be, okay, this guy at least is going in a better direction than Hugh Freeze, who you remember last year this time going, we just got to play in a bowl game. Gee, way to set the bar high. Let's go.
Well, I was trying, everyone kept talking about the fit. Hugh Freeze to me fits Auburn. He does. I mean, he's country bumpkin. You can see him coming in on the back of a cow. I mean, you really could. I mean, the guy never shaves. He looks like a real Homer Simpson. And so because of that, I thought maybe he actually would fit that bill a little bit. He almost sounded like, God rest his soul, Pat Dye. Occasionally, it was like he was burned up. Okay, so this is not going to work for the Crimson Tide, a 7-5 record. So let's go through the schedule. East Carolina, the Pirates playing at Bryant-Denny.
The Pirates are not the most cooperative of cupcakes. They can score points, but I think Alabama will outscore them.
I agree. Bama goes on the road, second week of the season against Kentucky.
This one's scary because I have been seeing little snippets of Will Stein at Kentucky, the new coach. It was I was not a Mark Stoops guy. It used to drive me crazy when every analyst would always say, it was like part of his name, Mark Stoops, who's done a tremendous job at Kentucky. And I'm looking at his lifetime record in the SEC. It was like 42-82. Tony, I'm sorry, that's not a tremendous job. Yeah. It's high time they made that move. Will Stein is a young guy. He's a former offensive coordinator at Oregon, and he's not some West Coast guy they brought in. He is from Louisville, Kentucky. Mm-hmm. He went to Louisville in college after wanting to go to Kentucky, but changed his mind at the last minute for whatever reason. Usually that involves a girl, but whatever reason it was, his dad actually played at Kentucky. So this guy, it's in his blood.
He is a blue blood for sure.
That's right. He's a Kentucky guy. And when I found out that, my opinion of their prospects for success. So I think this is a scary game for Alabama because we don't really know what Kentucky's going to have. And they're always competitive. They just don't usually have the athletes to win. Remember last year, they took Texas to overtime, had it 1st and goal at the half-yard line, couldn't get it in the end zone. So I'm gonna really shock the world here. I'm going to say the Wildcats upset the Tide because I don't like how DeBoer's teams play on the road.
Yeah, that would be a shocker. And early line on that right now is 13.5.
I think you jump all over that.
13.5. That's one of those. Really, Bama's only favored by less than 2 touchdowns. The Vegas is telling you something. 13.5, and maybe because they're looking forward to the FSU game. Maybe FSU at Bryant-Denny. It sounds like just a wonderful. I mean, that's great. Anytime you get the Seminoles to come call at your own stadium, but that'll be game number 3, and they're sitting at 1-1. What are your thoughts?
Well, Charlie Ward is not running out of that locker room for Florida State. The current edition of Florida State is hanging by a thread. Mike Norvell might be on the hottest seat of any coach in the country this year. I think Alabama will rise to the occasion and get that one taken care of because I just don't like the Seminoles program has just plummeted in recent years.
Gamecocks coming to Bryant-Denny.
Yeah, this is speaking of hot seats. Shane Beamers is steamy right now too because
some dumbass actually had them going to the playoffs last year when we did. when we did our show, and that would be me because they were one game away from making the playoffs the year before. They had the quarterback coming back. I mean,
actually, they should have made it because of remember the three teams that it came down to from the SEC: Alabama, Ole Miss, South Carolina. South Carolina was the most qualified, but they gave that other spot to SMU because they played so gallantly against Clemson in the ACC championship game. Clemson had already lost 3 games. Yeah. SMU did not deserve to be in the playoffs. No. They went up north and got waxed in the first round. Yeah. So that's how. But South Carolina showed you what you thought they had in the first half of the undefeated against Texas A&M game late in the year. Remember, Tony, they led 30-3 at halftime in that game and lost 33-30.
Crazy.
Good grief, Shane. With Lenora Sellers and a lot of the weapons they have coming back, they should be good. But I don't know. Their defense lost a lot of guys 2 years ago, and that was the difference in that team being any good. So I think Alabama, Bryant Denny should handle business.
And one of the reasons I did like them last year was because of Lenora Sellers. But they were only one of a few SEC teams where you actually knew who the quarterback was going to be, and you knew he had some equity in his tank. I mean, we knew what he was.
He was great the year before.
He was. I mean, he was equitable. I mean, he wasn't fantastic, but he was a good quarterback for South Carolina. Again, almost went to the playoffs. Alabama at Mississippi State. That's a victory.
Yeah, I think so. Mississippi State's a mystery team. I think Jeff Levy's making progress, but I still don't think he has the horses.
And by the way, if this holds true and Alabama loses to Kentucky in week 2, I can only imagine what Ledge is going to be doing on our show. But I would assume that you're going to be having some people saying the seats is getting too hot. This will be cooling things down a little bit. But then again, you're looking at victories against FSU, South Carolina, and Mississippi State. You can't make it right, though, with the following week with Georgia at Bryant Denny. What are your thoughts on Georgia and Alabama?
I was at the game at Bryant Denny 2 years ago when Georgia came in. They were down 30-3 at halftime, came all the way back to take the lead. And then, of course, the Hollywood Williams magic spinning away from 2 defenders and shocking the world with about a 70-yard score. But people need to remember, Carson Beck brought Georgia right back down the field with a minute to go and had it at the 13-yard line, threatening to win, and he didn't put enough air under a pass, and Alabama picked it off at the goal line to preserve that victory. I think the stigma that Alabama has Georgia's number and all that probably was extinguished in the SEC championship game last year. That wasn't even close. Kirby called off the dogs, literally. They won 28-7, and it could have been much worse, I think. Georgia's game plan was pretty conservative. I think Georgia has the talent edge over Alabama this year, but, Georgia's still a team that did not replace their wide receiver core very effectively. So I don't know who Gunnar Stockton has to throw to. They better go to a system that Mike Bobo's never employed before, using his tight ends more and throwing to the backs, because their wide receiver core is really unproven. So that's my big concern about Georgia, but I think Georgia is a team that's going to be really tough to beat this year, so I'm going to give Georgia the win in Tuscaloosa.
Then they go to Tennessee. Alabama does.
Yeah, I don't think Auburn will be man enough in their first road game to win that. But I think Alabama's fed up of going to Knoxville and not winning, and I still think they have superior personnel. So I like Alabama to bounce back off the Georgia loss and win that one.
You already gave us a little insight on this, but what kind of team does A&M have this particular season as they come in on, week 8, I guess, against Alabama?
I mean, Reed, the quarterback, is back. They've got, of course, we've always say it on the show. It's a great quote from the First Lady, Terry Quillian, who always says there's money and then there's oil money. And Texas and A&M are spending oil money like drunken sailors. They've added a whole bunch of pieces. I think they're going to be really, really talented and good this year. The question is, the recent pattern for A&M's get off to good starts and fade late for whatever reason. They've done it 2 years in a row under Mike Elko, who everybody loves as a head coach, say he's the perfect fit there. But Elko's got to prove that he can get them all the way to the wire, because the last 2 years, They've been undefeated late in the season and fallen apart and lost their first playoff game last year to Miami, although that game has an asterisk because people don't realize the wind that day was blowing like 45 miles an hour in gusts. Remember, they were trying to kick field goals from 30 yards and it was getting blown completely off course. So A&M missed like 3 field goals in that game. Probably should have beat Miami. But A&M coming into Alabama, that's going to be pretty salty. The Tide Nation's not going to like it, but I'm taking the Aggies.
Wow. Okay. And it seems like it's been, how many years has it been since the stadium that Johnny built and Coach Summerlin, who was one of the most hottest coaches in the world. Everyone wanted to hire him, and they just have not been the same since. And again, with that oil money, you would think, particularly in the day of what we're living through right now, that bodes well for an A&M squad where they can.
Well, the Jimbo Fisher experiment didn't work very well, and it was rather expensive.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. Alabama going to LSU for that night game. It's going to be fantastic.
Yes, that's another one. Baton Rouge on a Saturday night. Man. I hope I'm wrong, but Kalen DeBoer, God be with you, because
bless you.
This is the tough stretch of the schedule. If I'm wrong about the Kentucky upset, that would put them in better shape because a loss at LSU would only be their 3rd, and I think they can still survive if they've got losses to Georgia and Texas A&M and LSU. Those are a little bit more palatable or easier to stomach for people analyzing their schedule than if they drop that game at Kentucky. I think you talked about Arkansas-Auburn being a key game. I think in week 2, that Kentucky game is huge for Alabama.
I totally agree with you. Now that you mention it. Then, of course, they go to Vandy at the victory, Chattanooga. And then, of course, you've already got Auburn losing to Alabama in the Iron Bowl.
Yeah, so I've got them losing 4. But probably realistically, 9-3 is probably going to be the record. And people aren't going to like that. I mean, Alabama fans have higher expectations. DeBoer just got a big extension and a couple million more dollars a year.
Don't understand that. Don't get that. And if you watched our show, Legend went off of that. I don't understand why normally you do that, because you would think that maybe people were trying to poach him or pull him away. And there was absolutely no reason to do that because he hasn't proven anything yet. And if he ends up losing 4 games this year and doesn't make the playoffs, you can pretty much expect that Alabama is going to be coach searching. They're not going to go into the 4-loss season. If they go 9-3 and make the playoffs, I think he's okay. If they go 9-3 and they don't make the playoffs, the seat's getting hot. It's going to be really hot because we just making the playoffs is not good enough for Alabama. Period. It's just not. And this will be the last year that we can really use that, because the following year, if we're going to 24 teams, it's nothing. I mean, to be in the top 25 doesn't take any.
Getting in the playoffs. I mean, if you don't make a 24-team playoff, you need to make some changes.
No, you will see teams like the Gamecocks making it in for sure. All right, we only have a few minutes left. We'll try to keep it under 30 minutes because we know people love our podcast. They'll listen forever. We can always do more than one podcast a week, my friend. And so anytime you feel like jawing it up, let me know. But I do want to ask you about the Stanley Cup that kicks off later on tonight. The Vegas Knights are back for their 3rd time. They've already won once in their 9 years there in Vegas. What do you think is going to happen later on against Carolina? And by the way, hard to believe, 33rd consecutive year with no Canadian champion. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that wonderful? 33 years, no Canadians playing.
The game. And right now, the U.S. and Canada relations not the best. So.
No.
And we've had huge rivalries. The gold medal game, remember that game, the drama of the overtime score by Quinn Hughes to put the Americans over the Canadians. And the Canadian team was probably the strongest team ever to play in the Olympics with just legendary guys like Sidney Crosby and so many others. The Canadian-American rivalry is big. And 2 hockey hotbeds, Tony, Las Vegas and Raleigh, North Carolina.
Yeah, how about that? Isn't that crazy?
Remember, Raleigh was the county seat where Mayberry was. So
it sure was.
I'm picturing the fans at that game. But I can tell you ticket prices, because it's just an hour and a half flight. We were looking at them last night, and it's going to cost you about $1,200 to get even a upper deck ticket, upper level ticket to tomorrow night, or tonight actually, and then Thursday where they play game 2. So we're going to probably opt. We've got some better resources in Las Vegas. We're probably going to sneak out there and take in game 3 on Saturday night.
All right. That sounds good. And by the way, I'm looking at the latest lines here. Carolina Hurricanes. It says slight, really not slight. They're $1.55. Vegas catching $1.30. So if you want to play the Vegas Knights, you can get them in the series. Plus,
Carolina on paper should be the favorite.
How many games did it go? Give me how many games? Let's go. Hold on. I want to give you Stanley Cup odds, games over under, because I don't know what this is, and I want you to give me over under is set at 5.5.
I think that I'd go over. Okay. I think 6 games will be probably determinate, and Carolina will probably win it. But if it goes to a game 7, this Vegas team has a lot of really good veterans, and they're playing really unbelievable defense right now. The Colorado Avalanche were the 3rd highest scoring regular season team in NHL history, and the Golden Knights just pulled the plug on them in a 4-game sweep. They were a massive underdog in that series, but Vegas's goaltender, Carter Hart, who started the year as the number 3 guy, now he's the man. He's making all the big saves. Vegas is big and burly and strong enough to take these fast skating kind of high flying teams and just push them to the outside. In hockey, it's territorial. Most of the scoring comes if you can get to the puck into the middle in what's called kind of the upper crease there, and get those shots off point blank and bang them in. The Golden Knights have done a really good job in all 3 of their playoff series of really taking away that aspect of offense for other teams. So we'll see if it works against the Hurricanes, who are on a real good roll right now. They're coming off a quick sweep of their round in the semifinals. So this should be highly competitive, but I think it'll go 6. I got Carolina winning 4-2. If it goes to a game 7, the Golden Knights just have that magic kind of something. So I think it's up in the air for the series. I think the better value would be to bet the Golden Knights.
I would have to agree with you. Bet on the big show going on this weekend here, ABC 3340. It is the Birmingham Racecourse Casino starting lineup, along with myself, Kip Keefer, of course, a legend, Case Keefer. We go out to West and we get it done. I mean, it's a fantastic show. We're on television, of course, now 86 days away from college football.
Can't wait for that.
12 weekends away. We'll be 12 weekends away.
And I got to get the Belmont in. That's Saturday coming up this week. The Belmont has the rematch between Renegade and Golden Tempo, who won the Derby. Golden Tempo drew the outside 9-hole, but doesn't matter because he just trots behind the field and makes a big run at the end. Renegade is probably the most talented thoroughbred in the country right now. Golden Tempo got him at the wire in the Derby. But, Tony, people say, well, he was such a big closer at the Derby, he'll do the same thing in the Belmont. It's a quarter mile further. The Belmont is 1.5 miles, and it is such a jockey's race because you got to decide how much horse you've got left. Because if you ask them to run like in the far turn, it's an eternity to that. So it's another quarter mile longer. Yeah. So if you make your move too soon, even a horse that was a big closer at a shorter distance may run out of gas. You've got to make the right move at the right time. And I just think Renegade is a better thoroughbred overall. He's number 3 in the Belmont, and I think he's the bet. He'll go off as the favorite still, but I really like Renegade today.
And I think it actually played into Golden Tempo's hand to actually have 19, 20 horses in a Derby setting.
It did
because everyone pushes up against the inside. Obviously, you don't want that number 1 because you get bucked down. And really, like you said, it could run its own race. I mean, it had plenty of room and it could veer all the way to the outside. No one at one point that horse was 10 lengths behind the second to the last.
That was crazy.
It wasn't even close. You want to talk about going worst to first.
And the other thing in the Derby, that kind of come from behind is set up by a torrid fast pace. And in the Derby, you've got 20 horses, that means there's like 7 or 8 of them that have no business and really have very little chance. The only chance they have is to go balls to the wall early and try to steal the lead. And when they do that, they run set way too fast a pace, and all the other kind of real contenders have to keep up. You can't just let them get away. Yep. You've got to keep them in sight so you can make a move. But everybody was so gassed in the stretch at the Derby that Golden Tempo and Renegade just came flying up from way, like you said, in the back. This race won't set up that way. This race, the pace will be much, much slower with only 9 horses. It will not be that lightning fast pace. So you don't see many come from behind, come from the clouds closers, win the Belmont. You need to stay a little bit more in touch of the lead because, once again, the pace just isn't that fast.
Monster Sports Week, man. Just all kinds of great stuff.
Is this a great country or what?
It really is. And normally outside college football, you're like, oh, it's kind of a slow time. It really is. It's a fantastic time.
And the World Cup starts.
Stop. All right, we're back at you Saturday morning. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you. And also don't forget, of course, another fantastic show. Always does great here. You want to talk about some politics? Need to know. It's more than politics, although it seems like you kind of always funnel back into politics a little bit. It's always got a little shake and bake there in the politics.
Yeah, I got to get into some. I'm making calls this week. I've got my whistle. I'm calling BSs and fouls on several people, including, and this will surprise some, including our president. I'm calling him for some BS. So tune in to see that.
I'd like to have one of those $250 bills. I'd like to have one of those. I think that'd be kind of cool to have one of those in my back pocket.
That would be good.
That'd be good. All right. Take care of yourself, my man. We'll see you on Saturday. Thanks, Bo.
All right, Tone.
This has been a special presentation of Tony Kurre Radio.